you can't even get a handle on the development until you have an opportunity to be heard and have appeal rights and then have rights to sue. And so what's happening here is the city is eviscerating even the rights of citizens to even get before the planning commission or the city council or to court.
This lawsuit is taking the city to task on them ignoring their own laws.
This is your opportunity to ask questions about the lawsuit.
Okay. Hi. Okay, let me tell you what the lawsuit's about. First of all, we couldn't have done it without the community members because we could barely figure out what the city was doing. Okay, the city has played all sorts of games with the regulatory overlap between the Coastal Act and city law. So it's very complicated when you're trying to find it's a very complicated regulatory scheme with these two laws, local and state law, overlapping. And the city of LA is unusual in that it has permitting authority from the Coastal Commission, even though it doesn't have a local coastal program that's certified. So to make a long story short, the city planning department was able to find ways to sort of work through or underneath the fabric of these two kind of regulatory schemes, city law and the Coastal Act. So we were trying to figure out how do we articulate what the city's doing, because it was very difficult to try to find a hook because it's so complicated. And so, because of these two regulatory schemes, so we got together with members of the community and talked about what the issues were, the Mellow Act issues, the Venice Coastal Specific Plan issues, the Coastal Act issues, the de minimis waivers, the coastal exemption. There's all these different sorts of tools that the city's using to get around really giving true notice and opportunity to be heard by the community before these developments are approved. And so it was a long process, and it was not just the attorneys, myself and the attorneys that work for my firm, it was the community members, and they're really the brains behind this litigation. And so when we present this lawsuit, it's really the community's lawsuit and not some law firm's lawsuit that we worked up on our own. The gravamen of the complaint is that the city is approving these types of developments at breakneck speed, and we're talking 60, 70 every 2 weeks. At least that's what we were seeing. That may have slowed now that we have filed the litigation. I'm not sure. I need to actually talk with some folks about that. But we were seeing 60 to 70 VSOs. We were seeing a couple dozen CEXs, meaning coastal exemptions. That's exemptions from having to actually get a coastal development permit. These VSOs and CEXs avoid notice and public hearing. So these projects are being approved without anyone knowing. And like you heard Alma, she talking about how one day she comes home, the houses are gone, and a project's going up, and she was never even given notice. That, we allege, is unconstitutional, that everybody deserves notice and comment and a chance to participate and let the city planners know what the problems or what the grievances would be for an adjacent homeowner. Also,
Before they start.
Exactly, before they permit it, before they give the approval, before they ever sign the VSO, before they do a Venice Sign Off, they should be giving notice and an opportunity to be heard to at least the adjacent landowners, if not the community, especially in the neighborhood council. Neighborhood council doesn't get notice until after the Venice Sign Off has already been approved, and then you don't even get the right to appeal. We sent, some folks went down, I said, go down and see if you can appeal that VSO. They went down, got video of it. The city refused to take the appeal. So you have this serial behavior of failing to give constitutional rights to the community, and this is a big problem in Oakwood. And I do believe that Oakwood is being targeted. I believe this. I don't have any facts to back it up necessarily, but this is my belief. So I'm not articulating this as a fact, so no libel, no slander. But I believe that the city is, with the help of, or the city in concert with developers and real estate speculators, are descending upon Oakwood because they know that people in Oakwood are folks that aren't necessarily people that have knowledge or able to get the resources in order to fight for themselves. So really, they're preying on a community that is historically middle and low income, and I think that that's a big problem, and that needs to be challenged and called out. So we're trying to do that through this lawsuit, and we're hoping that with the community is taking other avenues. So this litigation is one component of a greater strategy to make the city accountable for its actions, and acting in concert with these real estate speculators and developers to fundamentally change the character of the community. And this is not just a problem in Oakwood, but it's also a problem in the walk streets as well. But we're really hoping we're going to be able to get a handle, that the city is going to change its evil ways through this litigation. We'll see. I just want everyone to understand, this litigation is not stopping any development right now. This litigation is a declaratory relief action. We have alleged that there's a pattern and practice of illegal conduct by the city, and we are asking a court to declare the activity illegal and therefore then put an injunction on the city to stop the city from issuing VSOs without public notice and comment and a chance to be heard, and issuing coastal exemptions, which we believe are not legal under the Coastal Act. We do not believe that the Coastal Act gives the city any authority to actually even issue exemptions from coastal development permit requirements. So that there's no confusion, we're not, this lawsuit hasn't stopped any development. The reason why we didn't take the writ of mandate approach and asked and sued all these different sued the city for all these different developments is because they're happening too fast. There's too many. It's too expensive. All we could really do is take the pattern and practice, the behavior, and say, court, declare it illegal. Otherwise, it would have been untenable to bring litigation to actually stop the projects that have already been approved. I'll tell you that what you're seeing here, this is only a tip of the iceberg of what's already been approved. We did the best we could, and the community has done the best it could. It took a while to figure out what the city was doing and how to get a legal hook into it, and so hopefully this will at least stop the bleeding.
What's the time frame? And when would you?
About 2 years. Unless we might be able to get a settlement with the city. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Can I ask two questions? First, Councilman Mike Bonan at a homeless town hall a week ago, part of this plan is to ask for a new ordinance for the Mellow Act, for a more permanent act, Mellow Act now. Do you think that might affect anything, and how will that impact your lawsuit? Perhaps even would it perhaps have a benefit of your lawsuit?
This lawsuit has nothing to do with the Mellow Act insofar as we've alleged any Mellow Act violations.
Not directly, sure.
That's right. So I'll say that I don't see that the new ordinance will have any impact on the allegations that we're making, which is that you got no notice, comment, or opportunity to actually be heard before these VSOs are approved or the CEXs are approved. That is not a Mellow Act issue.
Okay, and the second question is, and I think we talked before about it. Would there be even before the lawsuit gets to a court, would there be any possibility of asking for an injunction on any of the new housing, any of these? What's going on here, quite frankly, with some of this?
Well, I don't want to disclose any legal strategy, but I will say that some attorneys may choose, if they had the resources, to file a request for an injunction, for injunctive relief. That would be a little bit down the road, but certainly before the case got to trial. So, we'll see how that all pans out. But as far as an opportunity, yes, in litigation for declaratory relief actions, one can ask for injunctive relief.
And we Talked to our councilman Bonner. That's how this got started. We made appointments to sit down and talk with him to stop this, and he refused to sit down and talk with us. We went to meet with him. The big developers and him were all coming out of a meeting when we were told he wasn't there.
This is at City Hall?
Right over here
Oh,
in
in
Westchester.
Westchester, okay.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to meet. He's not tried to comply or work anything out with us, and he's a big part of the problem.
So you asked Councilman Bond if there's some way the city could, like, put sort of a moratorium on these on the teardowns. Is that what?
Before it even, yeah.
Okay, and he refused to.
Wow.
Okay. Did he offer a reason? I was wondering why he refused at the time.
I'm still waiting like you.
How long ago would you say this was?
2 years ago.
2 years
about
ago.
A year and a half, yeah. He took off and went to a wedding in Malaysia or somewhere.
Wow.
So, you had a question, then you have a question, and then anybody else? Then
Mighty nice.
Somebody class action lawsuit.
No, it's not a class action.
Is it possible to amend it into one because so many people are targeted and violated, and that would empower the whole message and the whole cause?
Not this particular lawsuit. This is not the type of lawsuit that would invite a class action. It's a very boring legal analysis that we could talk about at some other
There's no
time. But
I mean, don't you think there would be common sense that all these people that are targeted, that are vulnerable,
Yes.
would join forces, and that's the way,
that would be
people-
another type of action. This is strictly a city is acting illegally to approve developments, certain developments, and so that's what we're attacking.
Absolutely.
And the problem is that you can't, look, I mean, you can't even get a handle on the development until you have an opportunity to be heard and have appeal rights and then have rights to sue. And so what's happening here is the city is eviscerating even the rights of citizens to even get before the planning commission or the city council or to court by totally undermining their constitutional rights. So in order to get a handle on the development, you've got to be able to know about it before it's approved, and then be able to participate and say to the planning department and maybe the planning commission, depending if it gets appealed, here are the problems. Here's why this particular project isn't consistent with the specific plan, because it's not within the mass scale and character, or because these guys lied on the application and said that there was no affordable units, but we know the people that were living there and we know that they were affordable. But if you can't even say that planning department because you've been given no notice, an opportunity to be heard, then you can't even get a handle on even stopping the development or bad development. I don't think that Bonin has helped this community at all. I think Bonin is a big problem.
Okay. I say too.
May I ask just one last commission planning questions? Sabrina?
Sure,
moratorium. Could a city oppose a moratorium on this type of building, like they have on the Mantonization?
Yeah, I don't know
So
why we're not getting
okay.
a moratorium in this Venice Coastal specific plan area.
So
they absolutely
with
could.
this particular type of law, they could oppose one, so that they do have the option. To
They
do that.
absolutely have that option. I know
Very good.
Bonin's position, my understanding is that you can't pass a moratorium, and we've asked him, what's your basis for saying that? And he can't give us a basis. So I assume that he knows something that we don't know, that he's not willing to tell us, or he's full of it, one or the other.
Okay, so you asked him if he could do that.
I personally
you
did
did not, but others
but
did.
others
that you
have,
know
yes,
and he
yes, and he has
I
said
personally was one of those.
You did, Ms.
She
Wentz,
personally
okay.
was one of those.
And again,
and
the
a couple
excuse
of,
was we can't do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can't do it.
Didn't want to.
Or won't, whatever.
Won't.
Or
Whatever,
won't.
we're not
Yeah.
sure what he
the fact
means
is,
by we
no
can't.
moratorium has been issued,
That's
obviously.
right.
So okay.
This lawsuit is taking the city to task on them ignoring their own laws.
Welcome to the Walk Streets. Those of us who live here feel very blessed. And you would think that we don't have the same problems that Oakwood does, but we do. We are having developers come in, tearing down what are called contributing homes that have some kind of character defining feature for when Venice was founded, and building large boxes. And so we have learned from Oakwood and VC-PUCC that it's time to speak up and organize, and that's what we're doing. But anyway, enjoy it. It's just a wonderful place to just walk around. Neighbors are out, you can talk to them. Okay, let me move here. How's this? And so I'm not going to talk about all the things I do, but I just want to commend VC-PUCC and Laddie and Yvonne and Pam, who said enough is enough, and found Sabrina and said, Sabrina, help us. And I've been in some of those planning think tank sessions, and it's just extraordinary what they have done. And so, but this all does take money. And so I've been asked to say, please, if you can, this lawsuit is going to benefit all of us, everyone in the coastal zone of Venice. And if you, not just, oh no, not every, and Oakwood is doing us a big solid by putting it out there. So here are some envelopes, please take one, please give.
So when we say Oakwood is has already been developed, what are you saying there?
Oakwood is, I like to say, Oakwood is decimated. And there, you know, every day there's a new house torn down and a big house going up, and the character is changing. Yeah. And you know, the thing is, we're not saying don't build. Yeah. I hope I'm not just speaking for myself, but there is, be respectful of the neighborhood. Yes. Build in a way that enhances the neighborhood, enhances your project. If you reflect and respond to what is around you, you're enhancing your project, and it will be a better project.
So aren't they starting to kind of implement kind of proportional rules, kind of like if you buy a property?
Not soon enough. Not soon enough. The committee that she mentioned, we have wrote up a recommendation for the VNC to consider. You know, it's just out there now. Read it. Makes anything you can to support it will be great, and anything that any criticisms you have will be great too. You know, we want to read everything and to make a better document. So, so I think we're going to hear from the mayor of Oakwood, Laddie.
Fit our unique community character, as you see here. This is a Venice home, and we are strong. We feel strongly about cement and glass. Yeah. And a lot of it that's not even really built very well. And what we're trying to do is make the city have the laws that are there and protect us with them. And they're not doing that. They're just sitting back doing Venice Sign Offs, which means they just sign the project off. They don't look into it. They don't study it. They don't do what they're supposed to do as to protect the people who have been here for the longest, or the time that's been here. We don't mind new architect. Don't think that at all. But the big 3 stories with all the glass, all the mirror, cuts off our sun, cuts off our air. It's really taking away from this community and the character that it has. If you walk around Venice on the historical tours or just walk around, you'll see the beauty in the buildings. But when you come in and you put up something that's taking your air that was given to you, or your sun that was given to you, and then your whole yard just begins to die.
And your privacy.
You can't have any privacy. People are upstairs looking down on you when they have their parties, or if they have the parties on the roof, the sound carries for miles. But what we want is the city say, hey, there's a coastal plan, there's a plan that says 30 feet, and if you go and measure some of these buildings, which we're having done, they're over 40, some of them are over 40 feet tall.
Well, there are a lot of illegal fences and buildings all over the city.
And fences are another big one. Fences that are retaining walls in the front of a house. Yeah. That's supposed to be in the back. When I was a kid, you could not have a retaining wall in the front because the police would come and knock on your door and ask you to take it down. And then if you didn't take it down, then the city attorney came and filed a lawsuit. So they don't do that now. If you look at Brooks, Brooks is full of a lot of those buildings that were VSOs. They were Venice Sign Offs by Greg Shue. Venice Sign Off means that the person, the architect or the owner goes in and says, I'd like to build on this property. Okay. No, they don't research it. They don't do anything. They just sign it off.
They don't even
look at the
look at
plans.
it?
No, it's all online after that.
Because they'll say the building is ready to be demolished, or there's vagrants living in it, or there's somebody who's in there that's not able to keep the property up, which we fought 20 years ago, which was called proactive code enforcement, when they came through and said if you had a broken window or your shingles were off your roof, they would fine you $100 a day. So this is when this started, which is back in '99. And we fought that. And Mayor Hahn gave us a letter admitting that they would not come back in with that program. So then they came back with another program saying to the people that had been here for decades, we'll buy you out. Sold their property for little or nothing. This is some of the history. Low balls, yeah. $80,000, $60,000. So this has been going on for quite some time. We needed to stop, because if we don't, we're going to lose Venice. There's some big money that's in Venice. Pamela lives next door to 619 and 621 that sold for $6.6 million. And that was a Chinese,
what is the point of you guys being here?
Chinese developers who bought that. So there's units. $6.6 million. That's the type of that is here buying up property. So if we don't fight now and win, you can kiss Venice goodbye. That's for real.
Well,
so we're asking. Go ahead.
The space where Hal's was sold for over $44 million.
Right, $44 million.
Don't confuse commercial property with
right.
that's a whole nother, it's a terrible thing that's going on in Abercrombie, I agree with you, but we don't want to confuse commercial property
with homes, residential.
with residential.
Thinking about this was 615 San Juan, 619 and 621.
Right.
So for that's residential.
Right. No, I was responding to.
No, after.
On our street, 2 lots over,
I wonder what they
they
bought.
knocked down a house. Took them 2.5 years to do, ignored everything, put up no barriers. One of the windiest streets down here in Venice. They put up a box. They left probably maybe from here to that doorway there up front. It's all, the rest is 3 stories high, over the limit, 5.2 million. And
Well,
it's
they're
just sold like
building to
a month
property
ago.
lines.
Yeah, I know.
That itself, you have to have some kind of setback.
No,
But the
they don't
city's not enforcing
That's right.
the setback laws.
But they have the setback. They just used a whole lot.
Yeah.
No, they don't. If you don't have that front lot, you don't have, and it's built to the property line, where's your setback? If you look at the building right here on California,
They're not enforcing their own
they're not
That's
enforcing.
right. They don't want to.
enforcing their own rules.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So what steps can we do? What steps I guess this lawsuit is taking the city to task
Yes.
on them ignoring
Their own laws.
their own laws.
Exactly. And the thing is that the city needs to respect us that are here at all times and follow the law because they expect us to.
That's right.
So why is it that they now don't feel like they have to? Money can't be the motivation, and lots of money, for them to ignore us. We're the people, we voted them in.
Right.
So now we have to form a lawsuit in order for them to do what they need to do. And these architects who are coming in have learned every little fissure that runs through the city, how to get what they want. And developers. And we need to really, if you guys aren't running for VNC, some of you should run for VNC. We need people who are going to stand up and show out for Venice and show them that money doesn't mean everything to us. Our community is our love.
Yes. I'm running for VNC.
So,
I'm with you.
thank you.
I'm running.
And we need to let Mike Bonin know as VNC and as community members that we've had enough. We're done with it.
That's right.
And I know some architects are sitting here looking at me saying they don't agree, but I think family, community, neighborhood first.
First.
Not rectangles, Lego blocks, cement, glass, and money should take over what we've had here for over 100 years.
Right. Over 100.
Over 100
I don't think they know about history, Venice. I think these new developers and architects have no clue.
I don't think they care.
They don't care.
They don't care. Let's get that
They don't
straight.
care.
It's called
They don't
flipping.
know.
It's called flipping
It's
real
called
estate.
flipping real
It's all
estate.
about them.
And it's all about money. This is our home. This is not an Airbnb.
Must have been correct.
This is not Malibu. We are community. We live here. We want to know our neighbors. We deserve to know our neighbors. We want. But if you're moving, if you're paying $5,000 for a house to be in for a week, you don't know who those people are.
Right.
And they don't care. They just want to visit here. But they're paying to do that, and the city is looking at that revenue instead of looking at community first. So our lawsuit is to make the city realize, which I'm getting a ton of calls now that they know that, can we talk? No, we tried talking. Can we negotiate? What are we negotiating? There's some kind of mediation we could do. Is you promise to come in, fix the houses like they are, don't build 3 stories that are really 40 stories high with a roof access. That looks down on me. Then I don't want to talk. Well, but this is what the people want. This is what they're saying. This is what the people want. So when we say what people, that they don't answer.
Right.
And we're not asking for anything that's different than what's on the books. What we're asking for is for our laws to be protected. We do have a Venice specific plan.
Right. Right.
Let's live to it. Do the shade study, do the sun study. Make sure the building's not going to be 40 feet because it has a roof access. It's 30 feet or nothing.
Right.
But that's not what's happening.
Right.
No.
And planning does not follow the laws either. Planning does exactly what they want.
They were using the Los Angeles plan. They weren't even going.
Exactly.
And I pointed it out to Debbie at Bonin's office, and she was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "You didn't know that?"
Well, we're asking them to learn the laws too because they don't know them. We have to stand up and explain to them a Coastal Exemption Act still should have a permit. That's bad.
That's
okay?
Right.
So if you go down Santa Clara, we stopped a couple of those because it hadn't even gone before the Coastal Commission, but it had a Venice Sign Offs. Why? Because these guys don't care.
That's right.
They don't care, and they're not made to care. So we need money to help pay this great lawyer, Sabrina, that I've known over 30 years, to take it on. And it can't be a free project. We all wish that, but the city's a mega city with lots of money to spend, our money, to fight for them to be right, which they're not right, they're wrong. So if you look around, so we started this Venice Coalition to preserve our unique community character because we see it constantly being chipped away at daily. And if you go to the LUPC meetings, you hear these guys coming in. Oh, come on, it's not going to make a difference. Oh, come on, it makes a difference. If you look at Brooks, Brooks is full of a lot of those buildings that were VSOs. They were Venice Sign Offs by Greg Shute.
Yeah, he's
so
our
I can give you a
favorite.
name. Venice Sign Off means that the person, the architect or the owner goes in and says, I'd like to build on this property. Okay. No, they don't research it. They don't do anything. They just sign it off. They don't
even
look at
go
the
look at
plans
it?
because they'll say the building is ready to be demolished, or there's vagrants living in it, or there's somebody who's in there that's not able to keep the property up, which we fought 20 years ago, which was called proactive code enforcement, when they came through and said if you had a broken window or your shingles were off your roof, they would fine you $100 a day. So this is when this started, which is back in '99. And we fought that. And Mayor Hahn gave us a letter admitting that they would not come back in with that program. So then they came back with another program saying to the people that had been here for decades, we'll buy you out.